Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Southern Discomfort. I am your host with the ghost, the paranormal pastor, Ezekiel Kincaid. And on tonight with me is going to be Dustin and Bethany. So we are going to just give a minute like we do every week, let people hop on and jump into the chat and say hello.
Awesome.
And then once we... So let's give a chance for people to hop in chat and say hello. Hey, Jen. Welcome.
All right.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Clarissa.
So other people will know. We'll go ahead and we'll do this and go like that so people can.
Yeah.
There we go.
Whole family up there.
Hey, Teresa. Jen.
Hey, Teresa. Thanks for coming back.
Hi, Teresa.
Glad you're back. I know I've told y'all about Teresa before. She is somebody who was in a congregation I served at, and we've kept in touch over all these years. So,
and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Glad to have her back. And we got Clarissa. Hello, Clarissa. Soul Watcher Paranormal, welcome.
Hello, Soul Watcher. Thank you all.
Glad to have you all in chat with us this evening.
Oh, and some good news. We're down to, there's only one ticket available now. About 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, two more tickets sold out for Octagon.
All right. Yeah, that's something else we'll push as soon as we get more people hopping on here, man. Who will be the lone ticket holder? The last place in dun dun dun.
Exactly. Good to see you, Jen. I took her under my wing a long time ago, back like in 2015.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Glad you're finally catching the live stream, Soul Watcher. That's good.
Okay, let's get you. Let's see.
So, Vickie and Tanya are not going to be with us tonight, but y'all give them a shout out. Vickie, Tanya, we miss you. Hope y'all are doing good. Safe travels.
We miss you guys. We love you both.
We sure do.
Absolutely.
Ooh, Soul Watcher. They got it. I like what I see on their channel.
You'll have to share it with me.
Let's see. Bad Cat Coven Unite, Bad Cat Paranormal on YouTube for premiere.
I have to get on my phone and see. If I do it on my computer, I'm scared off.
Oh, they got little kitties, and they're just starting out, but I have a feeling that they're going to be a really good channel once they get.
Awesome.
That's cool. I just followed them.
Okay. I have to get on there and give them a subscribe.
And yep, Vickie is on her way, if not already, to Sister Yo Babies, and make sure you're all subscribe to Yo Baby and following Vickie's Reflections of the Paranormal also, because you never know, they might do a surprise investigations or adventures.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just read Soul Watcher said that they haven't been on YouTube much. They've been having health issues. Been doing it for years by myself. Thanks, though. Everything helps.
Mm-hmm. Well, we hope you continue to get better and stay strong, stay positive, and if you're able to still be here at the end of the show, we do a very positive, inspirational video.
Yeah.
You know, we hope that you listen to the words and maybe it'll help keep you going in the right directions, you know?
Yep. And I know Dustin could give you some good encouragement because, I mean, you started all this by yourself,
Yeah.
right? And you know, he has
My
worked
second
and,
channel. I deleted the first one that was successful, but I just got tired of the certain associations and other things, and you know, I went with my dream, you know.
yep. And all the right people connected at all the right times, and
Yep,
here we are.
exactly. The first channel, it just the heavens didn't have it all lined up yet. They're like, so I look at it that the first channel was my learning experience of how it all operated and the marketing and the branding and you know just how everything really what makes it pop and stand out, and then put all that to use, and then once you get it everything figured out, then the rest starts falling into place, you know.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, one ticket left for Octagon Hall. I know those of you who've been following along with the channel, or those of you who might be new, we are going to be leading investigations at Octagon Hall on August 19th. It is a fundraising event. We here on the PPR channel, all of us, we absolutely adore Octagon Hall. We love Bear, we love Beth, and they have been so kind as to invite us to lead investigations for them at the hall. And so there were 15 tickets on sale. There is one left. So if there's anybody out there who you've been kind of waiting to decide whether or not you want to go, like, now is the time to get it, because there's that lone ticket left and it's first come, first serve. And so you want to jump on that. And if you want to know more about Octagon Hall and about Bear and Beth and what they do, you can go back on the PPR channel and look at our live stream from Monday night, from yesterday. And that will give you a good intro of who they are. You'll hear their own personal experiences in the place. You'll hear me and Dustin and Vickie and Tanya talk about our experiences at the place as well. And so if you want to go back and watch that before you make a decision, then absolutely go check that video out. Hey, PW. Welcome. She's here.
Hey, PW.
So,
And welcome.
My goal this week is to read some stuff by PW.
Well, she's a good writer.
Mm-hmm. But I hear.
yeah.
I got a confession to make. I'm back on Instagram again. I didn't download the app, but I got it to where I'll just go online and do it through the web browser and check on it. So
Okay.
that way I can read her articles again. Yeah.
Yep.
I missed them.
Yeah. So y'all definitely check her stuff out. She gives little snippets of things that are really, really cool that have to do with gods and goddesses and angels, demons, supernatural, the occult. So definitely check those out. The other thing real quick before we hop into tonight's discussion, just want to remind everybody, each week, like I do, you can find my writings, the Southern Discomfort stories. I do Southern Discomfort series for Godless every month that kind of just pan the horror subgenres. There's something in there for everybody. The latest one I have out is a psychological body horror called One Flesh. This is one of Bethany's favorites that I have ever done, and there are some cringe-worthy scenes in there, aren't there, baby?
Oh yeah, yeah. Just there are some scenes at the end that they're going to stick with you, especially as a female. They really made me cringe.
Mm-hmm.
But very well worth the read. Very, very, very memorable.
And also, I'd like to ask anybody who has read anything that I have on Godless, or anything that I have on Amazon, the Johnny books or the Dreadful Death, the Theo books. If you would please be so kind to leave a review, that helps me out tremendously. It's something that doesn't cost you anything but just a few moments of your time to get on there and rate and tell what you thought of the story or the book. And every donation, or not donation, but every book that you buy, my royalties, I donate to me and Bethany's Winnebago Fund. You want to pull that picture up, Dustin? I'm sure people have seen it a million times.
Yep, I'm on it.
This is Bethany's Cinderella love chariot.
No, right, it's not. And again, love how it's missing a wheel.
Yep. That is high class traveling.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be. You might as well have the good wine glasses out and all that when you're traveling in that.
Yeah. It probably gets 3 miles to the gallon and puffs out black smoke, and it probably won't go over 50 miles an hour.
And it probably starts to go backwards as you go up a steep hill.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Just don't load it down.
I'm not going to show it to any of my little ones because they're probably going to take Bear's side and be like, "Oh, this is fun."
Oh, they will.
No.
And
no.
You can't forget what you're going to be hauling behind it now.
Yep, the station wagon. Eat your heart out, Chevy Chase.
Purposely pick the ugliest vehicle and are like, "That's the one that I want."
Just so you will ask me that question and complain about it.
And to top it all off, we're all going to pitch in for their wedding gift. We're going to buy Zeke this outfit to wear.
Oh, yeah.
As he's driving it.
Yep. Yep. I'll be standing there at the altar dressed like that for you, baby.
What was the one you told me you wanted to wear? Was it a leisure suit? There was something classy, and you were determined to wear it.
Was it the blue leisure suit?
No, I thought it was something worse than that.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, these are all the different Southern Discomfort stories. These are some of the covers.
I thought we had a few more. And right there's your newest one, One Flesh.
Yep.
We'll have to get the your other ones up on there too for people.
Yeah, I'll put them on there now that I know how to do that because of your educational video you sent me earlier today.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going through here and organizing it. You see up here at the top where it says Unbreakable.
Yeah.
All right, if you click on that, and you'll see another one that says for Zeke Southern Discomfort. Well, that'll be for your Sundays and Tuesdays. I want to get everything all lined up in there for you. Or you can start doing it too. You just click on that and just get everything all categorized better.
Yep. Let's see who else we got. Juju is in the house. Thank you for joining.
Let me get that off there. There we go.
So, well, all right, y'all, we're about 15 minutes in, so we're going to go ahead and jump into tonight's subject. So we're kind of transitioning to now, for now, we've just wrapped up a very long and informative series that we have done on the supernatural. And we have talked about fallen angels and demons, the difference between fallen angels and demons. We've looked at ghosts and spirits. We've traveled from the Old Testament into that intertestamental period all the way into the New Testament and looking at the developments of all of these supernatural beings. We've looked at Satan and have discussed things like that. So we kind of ran the gamut. So now we're transitioning from the supernatural to the psychic. So we're going to start looking at psychic phenomenon, and we're going to be looking at this from all angles. We're going to be looking at it from a scientific perspective. We're going to be looking at it from a spiritual perspective. And then, of course, me being the paranormal pastor, I'm going to come at it from what I think is a biblical perspective that is more fitting, because a lot of people in my community see psychic phenomenon as something evil and satanic. And I want to push back against that and show why it's not true from a scientific perspective, and also from a biblical perspective, because it's just not. So we're gonna be hitting this thing from all over the place, and hopefully you will get some good information for you that will encourage you in your studies. So just, as we're talking, it's more informal than what we do on Sundays. So as you're talking and questions come up, I know Dustin and Bethany can help highlight those when I kind of get to a little bit of a stopping point and can go back to it. So tonight I'm going to do just a little bit of an introduction to psychic phenomenon, and then the first thing we're going to jump into is telepathy. That's going to be the first one that we examine, and my goal is to do this introduction, talk about telepathy, then get into another aspect of telepathy, which is dream telepathy, and then I'm going to kind of give my perspective as a Christian pastor on these things, and show how that they integrate nicely with the Christian faith. And I do that, and I know people may think a lot of times, why does Zeke harp so much on the Christian perspective? That is my faith tradition, but the other reason why, and I've mentioned this on the show before, is because a lot of the pushback that I get, a lot of the pushback that I've seen the paranormal community get, comes from people who are in the Christian faith who just may not understand what we're doing, understand what's going on. They don't understand their own Bible. So that's why I harp so much on this, because I want to see that change. I would love to see that change in certain parts of the Christian community. And so that's why you'll hear me kind of talking about that a little bit more from the Christian perspective. But as you all know, for everybody who has tuned in, all perspectives are welcome, no matter your faith background or non-faith background, or, if you don't believe in God whatsoever, if you're atheistic, like, it doesn't matter. Everybody is welcome. here. You're all welcome in the chat. You're welcome to have discussions about things in the chat, because I know we got people in the chat that run the gamut of different spiritual and religious beliefs. So y'all feel free to be able to engage in those type of conversations. And again, though we may not agree on certain aspects of it, we all come together, and we want unity, and we're not going to bash each other because we may have different types of beliefs. So that's what we will be discussing tonight. So the thing that we're going to come at this first is, one of the things I'm going to be doing in this series is psychic phenomenon has been tested in controlled laboratory settings, from a scientific perspective, and the results and the information that has been gathered during these studies has been so staggering, beyond chance, that over the past, I would say, 15 years or so, a lot of hardline skeptics that were calling this all nonsense are starting to come over and to acknowledge that there is something going on here, with this type of phenomenon. I want to recommend a book if you want to read along while we're doing this study. There's a fantastic book by a guy by the name of Dean Radin, DeanRadin. And this book is called The Conscious Universe, The Scientific Truth of Psychic Phenomenon. So Dean Radin, The Conscious Universe, The Scientific Truth of Psychic Phenomenon. It's one of the best books that come at this from a more scientific perspective, to give you the proof that this has been tested and there is something more than chance that is going on, that this type of phenomenon is real. One of the ways that they come up with their statistics and their analysis of the statistics is they do something that's called meta-analysis. And what a meta-analysis is they take this broad look of all the different types of research, all the different type of laboratory testing that has been done, and they draw their conclusions from the whole meta. That's why it's called meta, the meta-analysis from everything, from all of the experiments, all of the things that have been done. Now, it's not just any experiment, right? They look at controlled experiments that have been done in a laboratory testing with all of the control elements in place to, assure that things have been set up to prevent any type of fraud, any type of accidental relaying of information or something that could give a hint or give things away and thus ruin the experiment. So a lot of the studies and the conclusions come from this meta narrative. Now, so we're gonna be looking at that as well when we get through some of these phenomenons of the systematic review of all the evidence, called the meta-analysis. So when you hear me throw that word out there, that's what we're talking about, just this large kind of bird's eye view and looking at all of the pieces of the puzzle put together and what that information tells us. So what we'll do also is, we're going to kind of go into the history behind how the psychic movement started in America. And that's what I want to touch on a little bit, because it is going to be important. For anybody out there who has studied this phenomenon in any in-depth type of level, you're probably familiar with the name J.B. Rhine. All right, J.B. Rhine was the guy in the 1930s who started the parapsychology lab at Duke University. And his research ran from the 1930s all the way to the 1960s. So for over 30 years, he was conducting controlled experiments on psychic phenomenon, and he learned as he went to get more and more controls in place to assure that the results he were getting were real and would defy chance. And so he started this at Duke University. And one of the things that, hold up. I'm not going to go there just this second. I'm going to wait till we actually get into telepathy before I mention this other guy. But anyway, J.B. Rhine at Duke University, he is the one who kind of started this move in America, and his research and what he was doing started to give staggering results. And when his first things came out, right, the skeptics were coming out and they were hammering him and telling him, this is all a bunch of hogwash, all a bunch of hocus pocus stuff. But he didn't get discouraged. He kept at it. He kept doing it, kept getting better with his testing. And after a time of producing more and more results, people began to take notice of what was going on here. And then we're going to get into some other types of testing when we jump into telepathy that was integrated into these type of things that help take it to the next level as well. So that is kind of a little brief introductory. If you want to know more about the parapsychology lab at Duke University, there's tons of stuff out there online for you to look up about J.B. Rhine and his work there. I just wanted to mention him in case there's anybody watching who hasn't heard of him. Like, this is a good place to start. When you're coming at this from a scientific perspective, is to look up the parapsychology lab that used to be at Duke University and J.B. Rhine, and you will find some good information. So what we want to hop into next is telepathy. All right, this is the one that we're going to start with. This is actually one of my favorite ones. I don't know if it was because I grew up with the X-Men and seeing Professor X with Cerebros on his head and like using his telepathy and his mental powers and all that cool stuff, which there's some things out there now with the technology. I'm going to see if I can actually find that link and get it in here. But there is apparatus that they have been working on that is able to, it's like a Cerebros thing that allows people via the internet to communicate telepathically. Like, this is a real thing that is out there and being worked on. So this idea of a Cerebros with Professor X, like this is not just science fiction anymore. This is not just the comic book world. Like, these things are finding their way into our reality, which I think is very, very cool. So telepathy. What exactly is telepathy? It comes from the Greek word tele, which means distant, and pathos, which means feeling. And so basically the word gives the idea of this feeling at a distance, or better definition would be a communication between minds that can't happen through the known channels of the senses. So it is thought to thought communication. And it sounds crazy at first, right? Everybody who thinks of this, who are outsiders looking in, it's kind of like, nah, man, this isn't real. So this thought-to-thought communication, this being able to communicate, but also to be able to read the mind of another person. What they have found in their scientific study of this is that a lot of the telepathy, like the real intense kind that they are producing results with in laboratory testing, take place during times of serious crisis, right? That's been the most powerful type of telepathy. There is a psychiatrist by the name of Ian Stevenson. He used to be at the University of Virginia, and he reported that 50 to 80% of telepathic communications happens during serious crisis. Right? That doesn't mean that it can't happen outside of it, but that a big chunk of it does and can happen during these escalated times of mental and emotional trauma. There is something about that energy that is being released through the body and the mind and the emotions that is able to span this on. Now, if you want to get an idea of the inner workings of telepathy or any type of psychic phenomenon or any type of paranormal activity, one of the things we talked about months ago on the show is quantum physics and a holographic universe and string theory and all of these different things. And we talked about how these models make it possible for things like telepathy and psychic phenomenon to be a reality. And I would encourage you to go back and watch those. There's some of the first two Southern Discomfort episodes that we ever did covered this type of stuff from the perspective of quantum physics. So that gives us an underlying theory of how is this even possible? But we're not focusing on that for this study. We're focusing on the results of the testing to show that this is a real phenomenon that takes place. So this idea of telepathy begged the question for J.B. Ryan, right? And he's like, can this type of thing, it happens, but can it be produced in a laboratory setting? So, starting around 1929, 1930, all the way into the early 60s, like 1962, he used what was called a Zener deck. Dustin, we got a picture of that to pop up here. I'm sure all of you, once you see what a Zener deck is, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I know what that is. I've seen that before. Oh, wait just a second to get that pulled up. Let's see. Bear with me. All right.
Yeah. You get okay. Sorry, I was indisposed for a moment.
That's all right. So that's the Zener deck, right? You got the cards with the circle, the plus sign or the cross, the wavy lines, the square, and the star, right? If you've watched any movie on psychic phenomenon or the paranormal, you have seen this, right? It's in Ghostbusters. It's the famous scene with Dr. Peter Venkman. He keeps shocking the dude who's kind of getting the cards right because he's hitting on that lady and wants to go out on a date with her. That is the famous Zinner deck, and it was invented by Carl Zinner for J.B. Rhine for the express purpose of testing telepathy. So the test works like this. For those of you who aren't familiar, for those of you who are, just bear with me for a moment. We want to make sure that we don't leave anybody in the dust. So the way this worked at first is one person would randomly choose a card and they would try to mentally send the image to another person. The most famous earlier experiments on the Zinner deck was conducted between 1933 and 1934 by Rhine with a divinity student by the name of Hubert Pierce. So I find this extremely fascinating, especially when we are getting in this from a Christian perspective, that the first person that worked with Rhine was a Duke divinity student, was a pastor, a minister. And he had this feeling that he had some sort of gifting in telepathy. So he goes to J.B. Rhine. They come up with they have the Zinner deck, and they start doing tests on Mr. Pierce, because Pierce believed that he inherited this psychic ability from his mom, this ability for telepathy. And so he does some tests with Rhine. Rhine had a colleague, an associate by the name of J.G. Pratt, who worked with him at the parapsychology lab. So they do these tests. They go through the cards with Pierce, and it was calculated that Pierce's accuracy was 30%. So what this means is he scored 558 hits when 370 were expected by chance. So this means that he was 10% above chance in his first experiment. So what that translates into is that the odds against this occurring by chance were 10,000 to 1. So pretty good odds that this was not chance. We're still not getting into the highest level against odds that is going to be developed through this testing, but this was a damn good start for them, and they were excited about what had happened in this laboratory testing. So this encouraged J.B. Rhine to go on more, tightening the controls of his tests like we talked about. And as he did this over the years, he started having more and more success with the Zinner deck. Jump ahead, from the 60s into the 80s or so. More modern tests were incorporated. Another test that is used is the Gansfield method. All right, I know many of you in our community know what the Gansfield method is. So this method comes at telepathy from the aspect that telepathy can be much more induced when someone is almost in a meditative state of mind. And so the goal in the Gansfield method is to reduce the noise around a person, along with all the busyness of the mind and the jumbled thoughts and everything. Is to calm the mind and help them relax. And the experiment has 3 types of phases. There's the preparing the receiver and the sender. Then there is sending the target, right? The target is the specific picture that they will be looking at to try to mentally send it to the next person. And then there's the judging of the outcome. And so one of the ways that they prepared the receiver and the sender is they would place the receiver in what they called a Gansfield state. They would get him or her to relax in a comfortable chair. They would put white noise on over headphones, and they put these like little translucent hemisphere things on their eyes, and then they would shine red light on them, on their face. And sometimes relaxation tapes were played rather than white noise. They tried a couple different things. But what they discovered is after a while of being in this Gansfield state, the brain becomes starved for sensory information. And what this means is that it is ready for some new visual imagery and changing sounds. And so during this state, this is kind of a place where mild, vivid imagery is starting to be experienced by the person in the state. And this is what the type of state they want the person in, that they want the receiver in, especially to be able to pick up. So they would separate the two in the chamber. They had all of these controlled decks that they would use. The experimenter wouldn't even know what was in the deck. And so they would get them into these chambers. They would give the deck to the sender, and the sender would go through and send it to the receiver. Then once it was done, they would pull the receiver out, and the way that they judged it is they showed the cards, and the receiver would judge the cards based on the impression. So if the first card he saw really matched one of the images closely that he got in his head, he would give it a 1. And then, the higher the number, the lower the match. So, if it was a 3 or 4, then it wasn't as good of a match as the other cards. Now, as time went on, they began to do some adjustments to this Gansfield method, using different types of cards. They eventually moved away from the Zenner deck because they found that after a while, the senders and receivers and everybody participating in the study would get bored with just looking at the same pictures over and over again. So they began changing that up when they started using the Gansfield method and were just using all kinds of random photos. And so this was allowing things to be fresh. It wasn't limiting to just certain symbols. It was really pushing telepathy beyond just sending certain 5 symbols, but now it could be anything that the sender is seeing. So this opened it up, which made the results, what they were getting, even more outstanding, because there wasn't just a deck with 5 pictures that everybody knows what the pictures are already. It was random things. And so this gave a little more validity to their testing. Now, based on the Gansfield method, right, if they used 4 cards, by chance, this experiment should result in a hit every 4 sessions for a 25% chance hit. Anything remarkably greater than this was considered above chance and shows that somehow the sender's target picture reached the receiver. the first meta-analysis of the Gansfield method was done in 1985. Okay, this was the first time that they began to do this. And of the 28 cases that they reported, that reported hits, actually got 28 experiments, 28 times that they are doing this on different people. 23 of the 28 resulted in hits greater than chance. That means something substantially more than 25%. So you're looking at probably 35% and above. And so the odds that they discovered against chance in these 23 of the 28 cases being substantially higher than the 25%, the odds against chance, listen to this, were 10 billion, not million, 10 billion to 1. And so the researchers concluded, once they got all these test results back, they were blown away. They were like, holy cow, something absolutely remarkable is going on here. And so since then, the Gansfield method has been a favorite method of use, and they've gone on with it. They've got greater measures of control, and it's been replicated more and more by parapsychologists all over the world with the same staggering results. And because of the Gansfield method, telepathy is no longer the stuff of just movies and science fiction or horror novels like I like to write. It is a confirmed reality. And it was with this Gansfield method and the success that started to win over a lot of the previously hardcore skeptics. And so that is what it was during the 80s that this really, really pushed into the mainstream. And since then, what you'll read, if you get Dean Radden's book, you'll see some of the more updated stuff that has gone on, and it's really informative. So this is very, very cool. Like I said, looking at it from this scientific perspective gives some validity to something that people had laughed at for a very long time. But thanks to J.B. Ron, thanks to the Gansfield methods, there is definitely evidence that something is going on with this type of phenomenon. So I'm going to pause there and just kind of see if anybody has any questions or, what I've talked about, or if you want me to explain something more, or, we'll just go ahead and open the discussion up about telepathy and see what people have to say or have to ask. So, Dustin and Bethany, if y'all want to hop on up here.
All right. And real quick, while it's on my mind, hello, Crossover. Thank you for joining. Yarn Barf, hello to you for joining. And I'm going to be looking if Beth sees any questions before I do. She can. I'm scrolling up here. Got Yo,
So am I. I know PW mentioned. Let's see. Let me go up. Soul Watcher. I know I've experienced communication between myself and others throughout my life, but I can't prove it. It's random. I think we need to know how to trigger it, making constant. I agree with PW. Everyone has their own experience, although I really don't. But I've heard of others who've said they have.
Yeah, and then the question becomes like, what is this something that everybody is able to experience? Does everybody have this type of talent and ability? And I know there are varying varying views across the spectrum. Right? Yeah, I know, Bethany. You say you've never experienced this or had this talent or ability. I come from the aspect that this is not a supernatural phenomenon, right? Telepathy, based on what we've looked at with quantum physics, this is a natural ability that is made possible based on collective consciousness, all life being integrated together. And so I kind of, and some people may disagree, and that's okay. You have your own perspective, and feel free to talk about it. But I'm at the place to where I see that human beings have the capacity for this. Like, everybody has that capacity, but not everybody has the talent. All right, just like human beings all have the capacity to be writers, but not everybody has the talent to be a writer. All human beings have the capacity to be a musician, but not every person has the talent of being a musician. So I definitely think that some people are more talented and gifted in this area than other people are, and it's just how they are wired. That doesn't mean that somebody can't learn this if they're interested, because I have heard stories of people learning this and working at it, but it is definitely, just from my perspective, a talent and ability that some have, others don't. Even though human beings have the capacity, not everybody has the talent.
I disagree. I don't, mostly because like the musician part, no, I don't believe that everybody does have the capacity and the talent. I think it's,
I'm using capacity and talent as two different things.
I agree. I see that. I think it's a little bit more than that. I think you're probably partly right. And then I do believe there are some people who they don't have the capacity, they don't have the talent, if that makes sense. Like, I would add a third one in there.
Okay. Boo Bear adds a third one in there.
I do. Yeah, no, I don't. But again, I mean, I respect other people, and I think it's something that is very interesting. And I noticed that in recent years, it's still a very much debated topic, the whole subject of parapsychology.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still debated. Not near as what it was. There's been a huge shift in psychology and in the scientific community based on all of the new testing and everything that has come out.
Now, I know some...
A lot less.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead,
I know a lot of people mentioned Edgar Cayce. My understanding with him, that had more to do with dreams, I thought.
We're going to get into dream telepathy.
Yeah, that's a little different. I thought he had more to do with dreams.
Yeah, we'll get into dream telepathy next time. Because I wanted to separate the two because they are two different types of phenomenon, and they're tested a little bit differently in a laboratory setting. So I didn't want to conflate the two. So we're not talking about dream telepathy right now. We're going to save that for next week.
And Yarn Barf is shared a little. It's an ongoing one, so I'll just start from where she started it and go through. She said, where to go? It just moved on me. There it is. I used to do this with my former fiance. It would freak out. I was amazed myself. He would freak out. There you go. I would just be amazed and amused, like he had bought me a gift it was gross of picks, guitar picks. So after a MG blurted, I'm frustrated that this phone is giving me a hard time after a minute of she's trying to type out of so basically she does that with her former fiance, and they're just amazed, and by it. So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and there's experiences that that people have with it, and this phenomenon, like we have looked at, has been tested, and so it is something real going on there. It is something real that you experience. Now, what that is and the other underlying cause is going to be debated, and people are going to have different answers. My answer and my perspective comes from a quantum physics perspective of collective consciousness, the way that the universe is, string theory. I mentioned it already, all the other things that we talked about in the podcast. So I see it as a natural ability, or it's definitely natural. That doesn't mean something supernatural cannot heighten it. We will look at that when we get into me addressing this from a biblical perspective and looking at the life of Jesus. Don't want to jump ahead, but it is a natural phenomenon in my perspective. In my research, that's the conclusion that I have come to. So Watcher, I would agree, and I think that comes down to what we talked about with quantum physics, and then that ability in the mind and whatever's going on there, right? I would agree that there definitely can be a connection there.
I know. I wonder. I know that myself personally, I don't know. I think anything is possible. I more ask questions like even whenever you're doing those psychic tests, like how do they know that it's not the power of more so deduction and understanding I get with their tests, I'm assuming that when you were talking about their tests, they picked two subjects who were strangers to each other, probably, correct?
Yes. They picked people who didn't know each other. They would not let them interact. They picked one. Now, I'm talking about the Slater-Gansfield method, right? We're past the center cards. So they picked a stack. The experimenter didn't even know what was in the stack. He hadn't picked them out. He would have somebody previously just gather random cards of all kinds of different pictures of random things, and he would put them in a bunch of random piles, and he would go and he would hand the experimenter the stack. And so the experimenter, the sender, and the receiver had no clue what was on the other side of these cards. That was one of the main controls in the experiments.
I would like to see an experiment like that done today, especially. My concern with doing it with two people who would know each other, even subconsciously, you could still do the power of deduction and kind of, I mean, it would be very difficult to do that with somebody that you know. You could even subconsciously hear something in their voice or pick up on just a movement, something, because you know this person. But with two strangers, that would be pretty interesting.
Yes, that's another control that they had that put in. It was strangers, people who'd never met, and they wouldn't even let them interact.
Again, that makes sense. And I'm not my coming at this with questions. I'm not trying to debate anyone or say it's not true or anything. I totally respect that. Just because I've never experienced anything like this myself, I've never witnessed it, I'm not at all denying that it doesn't exist. I'm just asking questions.
Oh, we know that, baby.
Well, I want to make sure, because I don't want anybody to feel offended or that I'm saying that their experiences aren't real. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, and that's what this format is for. It's learning, it's teaching, it's asking questions. For sure.
Yep, exactly. And like Zeke was saying before, we all have different beliefs, we all have different views, and some people you might learn something new and be like, oh wow, this makes sense, and wow, that's hard to debunk and dispute when two total strangers are able to do these tests, and even if it's just 25% of them are being successful, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. It was actually more than 25%. The 25% was what they was the chance line. And that first Gansfield experiment, they did. They had 28 sessions, each session being with different people, and 23 out of the 28 sessions all scored remarkably higher than chance, which the odds of that were 10 billion to 1 against chance.
Wow.
Yeah. 10 billion to 1.
So, how ironic. Did any of us know when we were watching Ghostbusters that Finkman's and all them doing them card testing was actually a legit thing, that type of test that was actually done?
Yeah. Those were the Zenner deck. That's what started it all.
You had a lot of people in chat. They have quite a few people have actually felt that there is a corollary between the paranormal and telepathy. Like there's a connection to all of this.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of had mentioned it earlier. I don't know whose comment. I think it maybe was Soul Watchers that popped up there that was making
it was Soul Watcher and Yarn Barf. Okay, I love that. That's funny. Sorry.
Yeah, and I had agreed and said, yeah, there definitely is a connection.
Yarn Barf said that they believe that cats are highly sensitive to the paranormal. They witnessed it with their own eyes.
A lot of animals
do have a sensitivity. I would.
Oh yeah.
I would agree. But yeah, there's definitely a crossover with psychic phenomenon and paranormal activity. Like I said, I think when you get at the base of it, this is possible based on how the universe is structured at the quantum level, that it makes this possible. And a lot of times you have somebody who is very gifted in telepathy. They will also be great spirit mediums, or they will be the ones who can sense a spirit stronger than anybody else. So there's definitely a connection, and what that connection is, I don't know. Other than just on a broad perspective, like I say, it's something that's going on in the quantum level, and there's something about how these talents overlap.
Yarn Barf, I think they're like humans. My other now, will you be doing a segment as well? And again, this is something. Again, I don't have any personal experience or anything with precognition and I guess foretelling the future.
Yeah, we're going to look at precognition. We're going to look at remote viewing. We're going to look at psychokinesis. So we're going to get through all of these topics and look at the experimentations that were done validify this type of phenomena.
Now, were these the only major and legit experiments that they did to try to prove telepathy? And why does it seem like in recent years it's been abandoned?
It hasn't been abandoned. It's
Okay.
still out there. That's why I suggested Dean Radden's book. I know there's newer stuff out there, but his is going to give you a good base of some of the stuff that has been done and some of the other different experiments out there. And there's different ones we'll get to, but as far as telepathy goes, the Gansfield method was the groundbreaking one. That is what took the research to an entirely different level. When they had that first success that we had mentioned in 1985, that blew the socks off of everybody, it just kind of snowballed from there. And the thing is that with the Gansfield method, this wasn't a fluke. Like when they would do this method in their research, they were getting the same type of results over and over and over again. Which
I can't help but wonder. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're good, baby.
Do you want to finish your thought?
Oh no, I was just saying it was, crazy.
What I wonder.
Sorry, Beth. Hey, Soul on Blaze, the other Beth. Hello. Yay.
Hey, Soul on Blaze. It's Beth.
Yeah,
Hey.
the other Beth. Sister Bear.
What I would wonder, because I'm a very analytical person, if they were to do, and this is just a question, if they were to kind of do this test again, but also have it set up as a computer as a receiver to try to pick up and to make sure there aren't any other subconscious patterns that seem to be going about, so that do you see what I'm trying to get at? That to make sure that this is actual telepathy and not some kind of subconscious mental pattern that's being applied.
Yeah, but I would say that with telepathy, there is a subconscious mental thing going on there, which is why it's the thought-to-thought communication. Now, the computer aspect, there may be something like that out there. I don't know. What I'd mentioned at the very beginning about how they do have the technology now, like Cerebros, that there's a technology that people can put the little Cerebros thing on their head and communicate with one another telepathically. Like that is out there and is being experimented with. So what you're saying, they may be doing something like that. I don't know. I haven't come across it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not out there. So that would be something interesting, baby, to see.
Yeah, because I'm one for it's difficult because in my world, and usually what I do is I always try to look for some kind of pattern or reason or answer or something concrete, and that was why I thought of that versus just something.
You would like Dean Radden's book because he comes at it from that analytical perspective, that meta-analysis that I was talking about. I think you would like that, baby.
Yeah, and Soul Watcher said, "Good idea."
I think Radden would speak to you in a language in a way that I think would connect it.
I don't know. I think you and I've had many debates before. It's hard to break my skeptic shell, sadly.
Well, I still think you should read Radden's book.
I'll give it a try. Good idea about computers. However, it could cause issues because it can compute ratios and probability better than we can. Depends on how the program is programmed. That is true. It's going to purposely and deliberately look for ratios and patterns that we would not be consciously aware of. I was more asking as almost like they had done a study once with a group of people and they blindfolded them and kind of let them walk, that thing of to try to use your senses. And what they noticed is that statistically speaking, most people would end up in a circle. So I was more asking from is it telepathy? Is it kind of a more something in the brain, if that makes sense, like some kind of pattern that is a go-to when you start removing stimulation, as you said, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but still looking at that from a neuroscience perspective, the fact that an image, a random image, is still being sent and another person is picking up on that same random image that the other person is thinking about, right? There's something going on there in a mental level, especially when these people have never met. They've never seen these cards before. There's something going on with a connection of energy and mental thought. And like I said, I think this stems from there being a collective consciousness in creation and among humanity. Now, how that bridge is crossed, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think I would definitely like to see one done.
Oh, I would too.
Personally.
I've never seen one done. Not in real life, like with me.
But legitimately, I think but I think that would be the hard part, is to make sure it was legitimate and not.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that you've got to understand too, the people conducting these experiments are following the same type of scientific method that biologists follow, that cosmologists follow, geologists, like they're following that. They're using the same type of strict controls. And so, these are not fly by night, fly by the seat of your pants type of people who are setting up these testings.
Right.
And they're doing it in extremely controlled environments with accountability and other people there watching to make sure that none of the controls are being broken and no cheating is going on. So it's definitely says that something is happening.
And according to the comments, BW said, for example, twins are a great sample. If you separate them, they can think and feel the same as the other. I've heard of that. That's tricky too, because these twins are so bonded. I mean, I know with my own, they've been together. I mean, they shared the same sack. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is another being that you've been with since, before you were even born. Let's see. So Watcher, we can also look at the peer reviews of those studies to get a deeper look. That would be a good read. Soul on Blaze, connective consciousness is a big part of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is true. The scientific community's job is to try to rip holes in those studies. Yep. That is
true. That's a good point, Soul Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
And Soul on Blaze says soul connections.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is something going on. The inner workings of what it is and the nuts and bolts. I mean, we can, guess left and right and try to theorize, and we'll all have our different perspectives. And there may be, elements of truth in all of those things. But the big overarching picture is that something is happening, especially when you have studies where the odds keep coming out 10 billion to 1 over chance.
I don't know. I kind of go back to your analogy, like anybody could be at the capacity versus talent.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. I think that there are some people, if you try to do this test on them, no matter what, like I think I'm like that. If you tried, no matter what, it's not going to happen. Because it's the same with music. I've seen many people, they try, they just can't get it. Maybe there are some people, I don't know. I would love to see it. I really would.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, right? The science is just testing the results. Right? They're just looking
Right.
at the results. Like they can't measure, consciousness and what is going on at a conscious level. I mean, they can register brain activity, but you can't put consciousness under a microscope and show how it is connecting to another consciousness or what's going on there. Like there's the theories of quantum physics, like we've talked about, that can put a rationale behind this of how it's connecting, but you still cannot observe with your eyes what is going on. We're seeing the end result, and science is testing the end result of what has happened in these studies.
True, and there are theories, and that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely interesting.
I am a big believer in that there are some things that it's not meant for us to truly understand why and how. It's like a extra bonus gift in life that just happens, and just kind of. I'm trying to find a good way to. There's a movie I've saw before, and it's about kind of the same thing, and going down a bunny hole like that, it doesn't always have that answer that you were looking for, and it can be used for a very bad, wicked way. So some things are they're not meant to be delved in to a certain depth.
Soul Watcher had said that's so true, because the science still doesn't know where consciousness comes from. They're still stumped. We have a long way to go. I thought that they said that it's there's some who believe it comes from our brain.
We looked at that we looked at consciousness in the brain in one of the episodes we did on Southern Discomfort, and I talked about the theory of quantum consciousness that is out there, and I don't remember the type of testing that they had done and everything. I have to pull my notes back out, but what they are existence of the soul is now considered a viable scientific thing in quantum mechanics, because of some of the stuff that they have discovered with the brain. So while the quantum fluctuations happen in the brain, they are able to exist still outside of it. And we went into that. But there's still a limitation there with science and trying to figure it out. But the fact of the matter with a lot of these theories and what they're coming up with in quantum consciousness is that consciousness can exist outside of brain function. So while it stems from the brain, it is not solely. The brain is not needed for consciousness to continue. So that right there says that what is going on with this telepathy could be, and I think it supports my theory, that there is something going on at the quantum level with consciousness and collective consciousness and all of these things, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. PW said another example is monks can train themselves to open the third eye, that the possibility of using telepathy is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with the other Beths about soul related, and it's all about the soul and not the meat suit.
Yep. There's something going on at a deeper level that defies science on one hand, but yet can be measured scientifically on the other hand because of the results.
Saying Ghost Eagle said throughout Native American history is that man used to be more in tune with the spirits and everything. Man was connected to Mother Earth and our Great Father.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And Soul Watcher said, I feel it's both the body, brain, and something else. We can call it soul, energy, oneness, but I don't think we should stop looking in the brain for a link. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like I said, all of this is stemming from the brain. That's quantum fluctuations are happening inside the brain. But what they are discovering is that those quantum fluctuations can exist after death outside of the brain, that though they originate there, they're not bound to it. And that's you know, the other thing about reality too is that it's all somehow interconnected in a way, right? Our brain is needed to produce those thoughts. The brain is needed to recognize the picture, and to understand it and interpret it. But something is happening on a deeper level when that mental image that the brain is seeing, and it's able to send that out, and then another person is able to receive that energy and make sense of it, and then put it together in their mind and in their brain and come up with the same type of picture.
And Sister Bear said the pineal gland.
Yep. Yeah, that's a whole another interesting thing in and of itself right there. For sure. So yeah, this has been a great topic tonight.
Yeah, and I love how everyone, because you, Yo Baby, Vickie, and everyone, all of us, we always encourage people, no matter, like you said, no matter what your beliefs and views, we welcome everybody, and because we all learn from each other, and even if you don't agree, it's still interesting to know other people's viewpoints, and
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, as I've said, just because I've never experienced it myself, I can appreciate, and I still find it absolutely fascinating. I find everybody's experiences with it, or lack thereof, absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, like me, I'm like what I forgot who it was that said. I think it was Soul Watcher, or no, someone else, about the natives and all that. Earth. That's me, Mother Earth, and one Creator up in the sky, up in heaven, that created Mother Earth. But I never, in a million years, thought I would be best friends and have a brother like Zeke, who's pastor, chaplain, and all that, of that, and so it just, it goes to show how we all still connect, and we all build a little family and friendship and bond.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man.
Well, exactly. And, and I can relate because, I love Zeke dearly, but again, I'm not a paranormal hunter or investigator. But I'm still interested in it. I still like to just, even if I believe something else, I'm still fascinated with it. I still want to learn about it. I, I'm still curious.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what I like about coming on here is that we're all different, but it's still fascinating for me.
And yes, Ghost Eagle,
Yep.
it sure does. That's what my sister Bear was telling us when we first met her down at Octagon. Even she basically said the same thing. A spirit knows a good spirit.
Yep. So, anybody have any more questions or something they want to bring forth before we kind of start wrapping things up tonight? While we're waiting on that, I just want to mention too that if you missed the beginning of the show and you missed us announce this, there's one ticket left for Octagon Hall. So we have been PPR channel. We've been invited by Beth and Bear at Octagon Hall to lead investigations there for a fundraising event. There were 15 tickets and we've got one left. So you want to jump on this if you can. Octagon Hall is world famous for its paranormal activity. And when we went there as a PPR group to investigate, we experienced every type of paranormal phenomenon that you can experience in just one night there. And we fell in love with the place. And they have been awesome to invite us back, to trust us. Like this is a huge deal that we've been entrusted by them to lead investigation, though. So that speaks a lot about the professional manner in which we carry ourselves, the integrity in which we do our investigation and our research. And so if you want to come along with us for this, jump on Octagon Hall's website and get that last remaining ticket. That is going to be August 19th is when that is going to take place. So it is just around the corner. And Bear and Beth at Octagon Hall are some of the greatest people that you will ever meet and come across. Like I said earlier, for those of you who missed it, you can go back and watch our show from last night, and you'll be able to hear from Bear and Beth, and we all share our experiences from Octagon Hall. And so I'd encourage you to go back and watch that show as well. Dustin, you have anything you want to add about Octagon?
Well, right now, I'd like to do a shout out to Soul on Blaze. I just dropped her link to her Facebook group that she's starting.
I see that.
Please, 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 you all, I'm telling you, you can't ask for a more honest, more humble friend and someone that is very knowledgeable in all of this. I'm telling you, I mean, it's my most favorite thing about Octagon is like what Vickie said last night, sitting on the back porch and listening to Bear and Beth talk about the stories of Octagon, and their experiences of the paranormal in general, along with Octagon. To me, that's like a mega bonus. I mean, I could listen to them for hours and hours.
Mm-hmm.
I really could.
And my daughter Emma's going to be with me. My Bethany is going to be there, so y'all will get to tell her how sorry you feel for her that she has to put up with me. Show her some compassion. Tell her bless your heart and all that stuff.
And the next link that I'm doing is for Bears Into the Fire podcast. Copy. Okay, come back over. And please be sure he's on. You can find him on Facebook too. But if you don't have Facebook, you can still watch it on YouTube. It's streamed to both Facebook and YouTube. But right there, Into the Fire podcast. And there's other links, and their bios are in last night's description too. But their links are always going to be in every single video that we put up here on YouTube. That's how much we support, how much we love Octagon and the Octagon family.
Yep, absolutely. So just a couple more things before we wrap up and show our inspirational video for the night. For those of you who missed at the beginning, if you like reading horror, you can get my stuff on Amazon or Godless. If you have read any of it, please leave a review on my books are on Amazon and Godless. My Southern Discomfort series is on Godless. So if you've read any of those, please leave a review. That definitely helps me out. The Southern Discomfort series, if you haven't read any of them, most of them are just 50 cents a piece. I only have one that's $1, and that's just because it's way longer. The One Flesh one is almost 15,000 words, so it's way longer. So that one is $1. But all of the money I earn on my books goes to the Winnebago Fund. So if you want to make Bethany's dream come true, and if you want our marriage to be able to start off on the right foot, you can help me by purchasing my books, and I'll be saving up for our love chariot.
Chariot my foot, it wouldn't even go anywhere. It's missing a wheel.
Well, yeah, but you're forgetting because
show them the other picture.
For your wedding gift, we're all pitching in to help you get these bad boys to add to it.
Yeah.
God.
Yep. Yeah. See, one of these days, Beth and Bear at Octagon are going to see that thing rolling up. They're going to know, here comes Zeke.
Here's my question. Where are you going to park this?
I'm going to park it right in the driveway.
There's plenty of room at Octagon to park that.
Just anywhere else.
Just park it at a truck stop.
I'm going to park it right outside our bedroom window, so every morning you wake up and have to look out the window, you're going to see this monument of glory.
More like a monument of hell. Gosh. That and that god-awful station wagon.
Good night, Sister Bear. Soul on Blaze.
Good night, Beth.
Good night.
I'm so glad that you showed up and were able to make it.
And the last thing I want to mention is we'll be back again Sunday night for Sunday Shots. We're still in the book of Enoch. Last week we looked at the Tree of Life. This coming week we're going to get into Gehenna in the Valley of Hinnom.
Don't forget, Zeke. Sorry to interrupt. I got to correct you on that one. This Sunday, we got something special that we've been asked to participate in.
Oh, I thought that was on the 6th.
Is it that this Sunday? This Sunday?
No, that's
the following Sunday.
Okay, my fault then. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the following.
I'm getting my days mixed up. My fault. I apologize.
That's okay, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to next Sunday. Are you also going to tell them about goldfish dip and elephant enemas too?
Yes, I will be talking about goldfish dip and elephant enemas to go along with the Book of Enoch. So tune in and you'll find out about that as well. But yeah, that will be for next Sunday. And then like Dustin said, the following Sunday, we're all going to be doing something special that we're going to want y'all to tune into. So we won't be doing Enoch on the 6th. Sunday shots we won't be airing. We will all be together somewhere else, and we'll give more information to y'all on that as it gets closer to the time, because we'll want everyone to be able to tune in for that as well. But everybody, thank y'all for stopping by and hanging out with us. Everybody in chat, thank you for all your comments and your participation and talking back and forth with one another and bringing up good points.
Yarn Barf asked, where do I buy your books? They are in PDF form, right?
So, yes.
In the description, I have all of your links in the description, Zeke.
Yeah, if you're wanting it in PDF form, the best place is on Godless. So there's a link on there in there for Godless. That's where you want to go. And plus, everything on Godless that I have is cheaper than what it is on Amazon. So that'll be the place that you'll want to get it.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation, and yeah, I want to read PW stuff before Sunday. I could do with something ethereal and mystical.
Yeah,
so
well, you definitely want to check her stuff out.
Yeah, I do.
Second, I'm gonna throw this on before we end, so if people can't find it for some reason in the description, it's there, but I'm going to also put it in the chat right now along with PW's Instagram, since you all just mentioned her. We'll throw that in there with it. All right. Did it all show? Did I get it all?
Haven't seen it yet.
Okay, the Godless did, so it's gonna
I saw the Godless.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do it individual real quick.
Yeah, it's lumping it all together.
Yeah, Soul Watcher, it was very fascinating tonight.
Yeah, it was.
And Ghost Eagle also. Last haunted place I was in was my ex's house.
Here's PWs that they were talking about that Beth is wanting to read. And all right.
Oh, PW, you always have my back, sweetheart.
She feels sorry for you, Bethany. I think everybody does. I mean,
No, she's ethereal and mystical. She always has some fascinating anecdotes. She has some great trivia. She's a great help. And Yarnbarf said, I got a page not found error from your link.
Which one? That first one. Don't click on that.
Yeah, don't click on the first one. I'm doing it.
Soul Watcher said the same thing. I did as well. Yarnbarf. The link says it can't be found.
Yeah, don't click on that first one. The second one in there, that's just the Instagram link. Click on that one. That's PW's.
Yeah, I'm removing that other one right now, and I'm going through getting these other ones, doing it individually here. Since for some reason, I don't want to let me do it as a group. So here's to the Amazon to get hard copies. This is for the Walker Ranger, but if you click on his name, it'll show you all of his books on there if you do want those ones. Your Godless is pinned to the top of the comment chat.
Yep. And I'll have books at Octagon Hall to sell for anybody who wants one. You'll get You'll get an autographed copy from me, and I can leave you either
You're not gonna
message.
write. You're not gonna write on everybody's books. Kiss my ass, love Zeke, are you?
If they want me to, I will.
And I'm looking.
That's how he autographs everything for me. So.
I'm trying to figure out where your Square link went that has everything on it also.
I agree, Soul Watcher. I love physical books too, but Amazon Brinds don't have that good smell.
Yeah.
All right,
They smell like plastic.
Okay, we're going to try this Godless one again. Since they said it wasn't working, we're going to try it again. It should, because it's worked every other time. All right, there we go. Now it took. It's highlighted blue.
Yeah, that's it. And like if you click on that link, and then if you go click on my name, once you click on the Godless link, it'll bring you to my Godless page, and it'll show everything I have there. Nothing on there is over $2.
Okay, because Yarnbarf said they're a lot more expensive than you stated. 50 cents, $1. LOL. So
the digital ones are the cheap ones. The regular books are the full.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The print versions are going to be more expensive on Amazon. Godless is all digital. That's the ones you can get on PDF or Mobi. Those are the ones that are like 50 cents and $1, and then you're not going to find anything over $2 of mine on Godless. Amazon is just for my Dreadful Death series. My Theodosia series, unfortunately, is only on Amazon because the publisher does not give Godless permission to put it on their site. But they have the paperback editions, and then the Kindle editions of the Dreadful Death series are only like $2 or $3 a piece. But yeah, the paperbacks of Johnny Walker Ranger and the Dreadful Death series, those are on Amazon.
I got it up, Zeke, for the Paranormal Square site.
Yeah, that's my website. It's got a lot of my books listed on there. Oh, thank you, Yarn Barf.
I love that name. I'm sorry. I keep chuckling about it.
Yeah, I won't lie. When she first came in, I went and checked it out just because of the name. I had to make sure it was like legit. You know, like the cheese. It's a legit. That's just funny.
I know.
Yeah. And if you like what you read, please leave me a review. That helps. That's always the struggle with authors, is the struggle of getting reviews. So if you enjoy it, just take a minute to leave a quick little review. It doesn't have to be anything in detail. Just why you like the book, or you may hate it.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to do is they weren't able to be up tonight, and we do have some new people in here. So this is the Threes Company. This is our family, and this is who we love each other to death. I mean, Yo Baby, she was in chat earlier. Vickie, she's on her way to visit Yo Baby, so hopefully we get to see some good content from them. Adventures. So that's all of us right there.
Yep, that is the PPR channel.
Threes Company. +1Z.
You could change that to +1 ass. I think Bethany would agree with that.
+1.
I will, absolutely. Yes, PW. I definitely want to let you know what I think of your stuff. And yeah, I would say +1 asshole. That really fits.
So, they all have their own channels. You'll see Everyone's links in the description. Yo Babies, Vickies, Zekes. You'll see Bears and Sister Bear Beth, which is Soul on Blaze. Well, because we love them like family. We really believe in helping them and supporting them the best that we can.
So, all right, Dustin, you want to cue up that video?
Sure will. And remember, to everyone, you may be nothing, but to someone, you are everything.
Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? Nowhere to go, so far from home. Is this what giving up feels like? I don't know, I don't know. Tell me, have I lost my mind? So I break these walls and hold